So, Yair Rodriguez versus Jeremy Stephens went down this past Saturday at UFC Mexico. If you guys watched it, you all know it was quite the disappointing ending to a decent night of fights, to say the very least. It ended in 15 seconds, no contest because of an eye poke. Jeremy Stephens couldn't continue, unfortunately. I'm interested and curious to hear what you guys think about that eye poke. I personally think it was 100% legit. And I thought Herb Dean did a great job trying to give Jeremy as much time as possible to try and continue the fight. But when I saw Herb Dean come over there and try and pretty much pry open Jeremy's eye, and it was not opening, I knew that was not a good sign. Jeremy looked like he was trying to rub it out. He was trying to open it himself. Seems like it wouldn't open at all. And it's like, all right, maybe with Jeremy Stephens, maybe he's playing it up a little bit. Maybe he could open it. But when, like I said, when Herb Dean went over there and he tried to open it and it wouldn't move at all, then I started getting worried. And then they called the doctor in, and that's never a good sign. And the doctor tried to open it, and he couldn't get it to open either. So between three people trying to open it and it not moving at all, I think it's safe to say it was a legit eye poke, like a freak occurrence. I'd love to see those two running back. I was pretty disappointed, to say the very least, with the crowd's reaction to the end of that fight, as well as Yair's post-fight comments and his, whatever you want to call it, his reaction in the cage. Pretty much threw a tantrum like a 2-year-old. I was a fan of his before then. Now, I don't know, man. I know there was a lot of emotions. Obviously, he was fighting in his hometown of Mexico. It was a huge fight for him, but it was a huge fight for Jeremy Stephens too. Jeremy Stephens went out to Mexico like a month and a half earlier or something. I heard he spent 30 grand just on his training camp to prepare for this fight. And that's not 30 grand he's getting back. That's coming out of his show purse. So obviously, that dude was not looking for a way to get out of a fight. Jeremy Stephens is a savage. He is not the fighter that's going to try and find an easy way out of a fight. So, Yair Rodriguez, his reaction in the cage, or the antics in the cage, I thought were really childish. At one point, he said something to Michael Bisping. He might even shoved him, and I was like, man, I don't know what this kid's doing. He's losing his mind. Like I said, I know emotions were running high, so I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. But then they interviewed him at the ESPN desk, I believe Karen Bryant and I don't remember who else, after the fight, and Yair said something to the effect of, he pretty much said, without saying the exact words, that he thought Jeremy Stephens was faking it. And he said something like, Jeremy Stephens, if he was faking it, has to live with that for the rest of his life. And he was pretty much trying to put the blame on Jeremy Stephens, which is 100% messed up, because he is the one that poked or pretty much raked Jeremy Stephens' eye. And I don't know what he's even trying to do. He threw a kick, and then for no reason at all, he pawed his left hand out there with his fingers completely extended and swiped down across Jeremy's face. So sometimes fighters throw a left hand or right hand after a kick out there to measure distance or try and keep their opponent away. But when your fingers are straight out and you go straight down across the eye, and then you try and blame it on the other fighter, if you do poke him in the eye and they can't continue, that's not cool, man. I gotta say, maybe he can redeem himself, but he definitely lost a fan of me with that, all that went on at UFC Mexico. Hopefully the fight does get rebooked. I saw a video of Jeremy Stephens in the hospital. He had a giant bandage over his eye. Thankfully, it didn't sound like he had a detached retina or anything. It sounds like it'll take a couple weeks to heal, and he wanted to book the rematch ASAP, if you can even call it a rematch. I mean, the fight technically was no contest, so it didn't really even happen. Like I said, it was all of 15 seconds. So anyways, a decent night of fights. I was very impressed with Carla Esparza. The beating she took in the third round. I personally thought she lost the fight, even though she controlled the first 2 rounds with grappling. She almost got finished 3 separate times in the third round. I thought that was definitely a 10-8 round. That armbar that she got stuck in was, the fact that she got out of that was amazing, to say the least, man. Her elbow was completely hyperextended, so that was very impressive on her part. Aside from that, I was really looking forward to the main event, and it was a giant letdown. I don't know what the deal is with eye pokes lately, man. The last UFC event, there was the Todd Duffy eye poke that also resulted in the no contest in the first round. Now that one was a lot more sketchy in my opinion. And honestly, to me, it looked like Todd Duffy was looking for a way out of the fight. His eye wasn't closed, his eye didn't look red, it wasn't spasming, he wasn't even trying to rub it, he didn't try and take any time to recover. So my opinion, obviously I'm not him, so I don't know exactly what happened, but that definitely looked like he was just looking for a way out of the fight. And there was also a recent one in Bellator, Ryan Bader versus Czech Congo, which to me also looked super sketchy. I thought it looked like Ryan Bader was beating the crap out of Czech Congo, just absolutely dominating him. He had him pretty much in mount against the fence, and it looked like his thumb accidentally went in Czech Congo's nose. Czech Congo said it was an eye poke, and then he said he couldn't continue. But they showed a lot of really slow motion replays, and to me, I didn't see an eye poke at all. So that's another instance, in my opinion, of the fighter looking for a way out of a fight. Czech Congo doesn't have the best track record for not doing sketchy things, if you've been following his fights for a while. With that said, let me know what you guys thought about UFC Mexico as a whole, as far as the card goes, and let me know especially what you thought about the main event, or at least how it ended. Do you think Jeremy Stephens was playing it up? Do you think it was 100% Yair Rodriguez's fault and he acted like a complete child? And not only that, but the fans, man. I don't see how the UFC is ever going to return to Mexico. That was about the worst display from fans I think I've ever seen at a UFC event. I've seen some pretty bad fan reactions at maybe some cards in Brazil, but this one definitely takes the cake as far as the worst fans. When they were trying to get Jeremy Stephens back to the locker room, they were throwing beer bottles at him, beer, popcorn. I read somewhere that he got punched in the back of the head by fans. Just absolutely ridiculous, man. The sport has no place for that. Obviously, that wasn't every fan that was at the stadium, but unfortunately, it's the bad ones that make the crowd as a whole look bad. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Aside from that, right after they announced it was no contest, people were throwing all kinds of stuff in the cage. I think Michael Bisping, who was sitting cage side commentating, said that he got hit with a Modelo, and one of the commentators actually hid under the desk while stuff was being thrown. It was crazy, man. Like I said, obviously it wasn't everyone in the crowd. There's just a lot of bad apples that look like that made the crowd as a whole look bad. But man, it looked like there was a lot of people throwing stuff and a lot of people acting a fool. So I don't think that is going to make the UFC want to come back to Mexico anytime soon, which is an absolute shame for the Mexican fans that don't act like that and actually were there and actually paid their hard-earned money to go there and see a good event and had it end that way. So with that said, let me know your thoughts on the whole event and how it ended down below. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Oh my goodness! Oh my God! Just like that! That is some serious power! Wow!